2 of Millennial Girls. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this wild, exciting, crazy journey with us. We've had so much good feedback, great feedback from our first episode. So here we are, episode 2. I'm Racquel. I'm the blonde one.
Yeah, girl power. I'm Natasha. I'm the brunette, of course, as you can see here. And look at my brand new backdrop. If you're watching on YouTube, I have a new backdrop. I'm so proud of it.
She got inspired by my neon unicorn, so she made a backdrop because obviously we can't really have one right now. So
no, it's literally like the side of my dresser, and I made a really pretty collage and I put it on the side of my dresser.
Okay, so this episode is kind of going to be about not like an FU, but
kind of.
But also just kind of sticking to what you know and believing in yourself. And obviously that is a huge reason as to why Millennial Girls is happening, because we really thought that this was going to be something unique and great and wanted to bring it to you guys. But I wanted to kick things off because this is actually a really funny story. We both worked together on air at Revolution 93.5, EDM radio station, South Florida's home of dance music. And when I went in to basically, I guess, audition, per se, for my job, I was put in a situation with Natasha, and I thought she hated me. So we've come a long way from what I thought her hating me was to now. So I think you should tell your side of it because it's pretty funny, the two different aspects.
Yes, you know what, guys? I have a disclaimer. I totally hated Racquel when she first started. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I was like, I didn't know that. No. What?
No, so basically what it was is that I had just jumped on to the morning show at the station, let's say on a Thursday, okay? So I was going in as somebody's replacement, and they were kind of giving me a disclaimer of like, oh, okay, you know, I had been managing the digital and the social media at the radio station, so everything you were seeing on social, everything that was going on the website, that was all me behind the scenes, but nobody had actually seen the other side of me, which is where I've always been a pretty good public speaker. I have a very loud voice. I project. I don't have an inside voice. Doesn't exist, especially because I'm Mexican. So just put it that way.
Yeah. And I was gonna say neither of us have an inside voice. That doesn't exist. Like whenever I'm home, my sister is always like, inside voices or you can't speak to me, and I'm like, what's that?
The PD at the time, the program director, asked me to kind of jump in and test me out, let's say. So they weren't like confirming me being a co-host. They were like keeping it up in the air. And mind you, at that time, I had never said, oh, my desire is to be on air to anybody like at the station. After learning a little bit and I got that opportunity, the PD, the program director of the station at the time, had said, hey, he had suggested to the owners, why doesn't Natasha jump in? She has a good radio voice. Let's test her out. So I think it was that Thursday. And then the following Monday, I was supposed to come in. Mind you, again, this is the morning show. And we're lucky because we were starting at 7 a.m. Normally they start at like 6 or maybe even 5 a.m.
Sometimes 5 a.m. for a morning show.
So, of course, Racquel is like, oh, unicorns and butterflies. And me, I'm like, I'm waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, that was more like my mentality, right? So, anyways, I jump into the morning show. The following Monday, so I had done it 2 days. That Monday, all of a sudden, they tell me that this girl's going to jump in on the show with us. So I was co-hosting with someone else. So Racquel comes in, and I was like, wait, like, I didn't want to say anything.
Basically, she was like, who the F is this blonde girl? What the hell?
I got so thrown off because I was like, they didn't tell me that they were going to be starting to have other people come in and, like, let's say, like, audition, right? So I got thrown off. And like, again, I had just started on Thursday. It wasn't like I was there for like a little bit to like, you know, warm myself up. Like I was just starting on air. So Racquel jumps in. So of course I was like, I gotta work this shit. I gotta make sure that, you know, I'm on point and that, you know, if it's a competition between us, like who's gonna get co-host spot. But mind you, again, it wasn't just about who's getting the co-host position. It was also like they were considering actually making it like a bigger morning show too. Who knows, quote unquote. Maybe that's what they were telling me to make me feel better. I don't know, but.
No, I had no idea that you just started. I thought that you had been on for a while. So my perspective, which is so funny now that by the way, about 2 weeks ago in real time is when we each told each other this situation. And I didn't know what she said and she didn't know what I said. So now that we're retelling this story, it's really funny because we've now known each other for 7 months. And recently I was like, so I thought you hated me. And she was like, what? But yeah, so I was kind of brought into audition, let's say, to be just either on the morning show or my own slot. Nothing was really it was just open-ended. So I came in, I was specifically doing what we called the scoop. So I was talking about all of the celebrity stuff and, what I live, sleep, eat, and breathe, unicorns and sparkles and glitter. And yeah, and I didn't know that she hadn't really been on that long. I thought she had been on for quite a while. And so when I was like, hi, I'm Racquel. And she was like, hi. And I was like, oh, hi. Okay.
They didn't give us like a rundown. Like they surprised me with bringing her on. And then of course, like they didn't explain to her anything of what was going on. So she was just kind of jumping in. And then I was like, wait, why is she jumping in? Like it totally threw me off. So of course, like my natural feeling, especially starting on, like I freaked out a little bit because I was like, am I going to lose my chance to be on and co-host the morning show? Like I thought that I might lose that opportunity altogether. But one of the things that I want to say is that like, even in that moment, I was like, if I'm being completely honest, I was like in this turmoil within myself because I was like, she could have more experience than me. I don't know. Like I didn't know her. She doesn't know what experience I do or don't have. So I was trying like really hard to force myself to not let that intimidate me or like make me not motivated to actually like keep or like get my spot on the show. And I mean, obviously whatever I did, it worked because I did do it for a couple of months time. Yeah. I mean, that whole period, I think I felt really lucky to at least have, one or two people vouch for me because I was just starting on air. And so I did feel a lot of insecurity or uncertainty from ownership because I felt like they were like taking a risk with me, like that I hadn't had all the experience on air that they would have expected. Mind you, it costs money to have people that are really experienced and have been in the industry for, 15 plus years. So that was a bargain, but hopefully it was all worth it, right?
No, it was definitely worth it, and I think everything worked out how it was supposed to. I ended up getting my own slot, the afternoons, and then you ended up transitioning into middays. I mean, ownership pretty much took a huge leap of faith with all of us on air because I've been in the media industry for 6 years, but I've never had my own radio show by myself. So the fact that they were even so trusting of letting all of us, pretty much mornings, middays, afternoon, have their own slot is kind of unheard of, which, I mean, obviously we've learned so much and it's been so great. So definitely a lot of obstacles came with that though, because there was still times, obviously, we had to prove ourselves and kind of be like, well, this is what I believe in and I want to talk about this and this is what I think needs to happen. We had a lot going on at that time too, because right when I started and then right when I went live was EDC and Miami Pop Festival got canceled, and there was just a lot of things that were starting to happen. The holidays were happening. We were doing a turkey drive that I ended up doing a remote, and I learned we were thrown into different situations, and just you have to believe in yourself. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to happen. And I think that is one thing that I've had to keep telling myself being in this industry. I worked in sports before this. Before sports, I worked in music. And being a girl in sports is one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Right.
Because you have a magnifying glass on you times 300 because people are just waiting for you to literally screw up.
To fail, of course.
Because they're like, oh, she's just a pretty girl, or she's just a girl. Oh, she's cute. She just wants to... I mean,
that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you. So, like, okay, I mean, I didn't, like, totally go in depth as far as, like, what obstacles, like, specifically I faced just being on air or being at the radio to begin with. But one of the things I do want to put out there is that both Racquel and I, after doing lots and lots of research and reading a lot of EDM news for, you know, reporting for an EDM station, there are no girls in the industry. Like, I think it's obvious that, like, everyone always talks about how there's, like, very few females that are DJs, let alone people that are covering just the EDM world. So anything that you see, like, EDM news or any music production, doing the, like, just producing, being in studio, it's always men. So it's definitely, you know, obviously an opportunity for us to, you know, show ourselves and what we're capable of and, you know, being females and everything. But I know that, you know, you come from a sports background, Racquel, and you work for the Panthers. So I can only imagine how many obstacles you faced, you know, and that you had to overcome, or like, what did you go through?
Yeah, I mean, the Florida Panthers kind of gave me my start, right? I worked for an online music publication. I freelanced for them. I started off as their country music correspondent, and then I became editor-in-chief or assistant editor, whatever. So I learned a lot very quickly in the digital aspect of reporting, but like I said in our last podcast, there's nothing like talking in front of 18,000 people with the bright lights, the camera's on you, everyone's talking around you, my earpiece is working, it's not working. I mean, live entertainment, there's nothing like it, but it's like you get a high. You have to be kind of a crazy person to do it, because if you're not insane and don't thrive off crazy situations.
Racquel is insane, apparently.
I'm saying it. You heard it here first, guys. If you don't thrive off of high stress situations, you cannot be in our industry. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't even necessarily proving to, you know, the people at the team. It was just in general, I would receive really, really mean social media comments. I know that I'll say it. I don't care. I had received a really like disgusting tweet in off season this past year when I announced I wasn't going to be back with the team, and someone tweeted, "Oh, you're not just the Panthers full-time intermission whore."
Oh my God.
And I mean, whether you're in sports or not, obviously the internet is a fragile place, and people think they can hide behind.
Did you respond?
No, I blocked them. But I did send it to a lot of my friends that were sports reporters, and they went off on them.
Oh boy.
Which is like nice to have a community behind you. But I mean, yeah, I would receive a lot of that. I would also have like the nicest things being said of all time. And when I ended up announcing I was leaving, people were so sweet and so supportive of me joining Revolution family. But no, being a girl in sports, a female in sports is really, really difficult. I mean, just that mental component of things. And even if talking about a lot of, you know, other experiences that my girlfriends have had that are working in sports as well, who I'd like to get on the podcast further down the line. I mean, the things that people would say to us over social media are just straight up disgusting.
So that's one thing I want to touch on, the social media thing. So when I started on air, again, I started on a Thursday. Racquel jumped in with me and the morning show host on the following Monday. So that was my third day doing morning show. I think like between those 3 days, we get a text message because we had like a number that we could solicit on air, like, hey, call us or text us from this number, whatever. Mm-hmm. And somebody had immediately messaged a super mean insult, like towards me, like, where's the other co-host? Who's this new girl? She's so dry. She doesn't have any, like, she doesn't show any emotion, whatever, which
makes me so mad.
Many people do describe me that way. But then I ended up getting, like, I don't even want to get into it, but let's just say some guests that we used to have on the show, they ended up getting my number from someone else when they were no longer part of the show. And they started like texting me from like private numbers and DMing me privately, telling me that I'm as dry as a wall and like just being like really mean to me. And I already figured out who it was. So again, same thing. I didn't respond. I just blocked.
I'm like, so it makes me so mad just because, I mean, who the hell do you think you are that you can say something like that? And that's why we kind of are talking about, well, F you in this and F the haters in this episode, because it's a real thing. And I don't condone bullying in any way, shape, or form in real life over the internet. I mean, it's just so disgusting to what social media can be a really great place, but it can also be a really mean place filled with hate. And I feel like a lot of the obstacles I had to overcome being a woman in sports was mostly social media. Like, I couldn't look at my Twitter mentions after a game. I wouldn't, just because it wasn't healthy.
You don't want it to throw off like your show, like your whole
right. And you don't want it. Right. I mean, it's a live show for 3 hours that you're doing.
Right.
So in front of 18,000 people. So, I mean, whether people loved you or hated you, you obviously, love and are so appreciative of the ones that are great. But there was lots of mean situations like that happened. And I mean, I can't. Like, I will. It's just not okay.
I mean, not just to be like sitting here and like, okay, let's hate the haters. It's just we just want to share with you our experience, because it obviously, like, it might not come off that way, but it happens to all of us. It happens to the best of us. It happens to the most popular, the most celebrity with millions of followers, and it happens to the people that might have 5 followers, because again, it's human nature for us to just judge a book by its cover, which is actually really cool. And I'm happy that we're going to have the guest that we have on today, because when I first heard about him and Racquel was telling me about him, she was like, oh yeah, he's, Cuban American, but he does country music. And I'm going to let Racquel introduce him. But when I heard that at first, I was like, wait, Cuban country? Like what? Like it made me judge the situation. And then I'm like, you know what? Of course, especially being, doing what I do, and we interview all these artists and stuff, like, I'm the last person that can judge any sort of genre of music. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of open up that book and open up that chapter and be welcoming. And again, whatever, maybe you will meet that person, or maybe you'll actually get to know them, and maybe you won't like them at all, but at least you got to know them first before, making like that tweet or that comment that either of us or any of you might have received. And one of the things, just to kind of like wrap up, that whole story, like how you said that you received that tweet and I received those text messages on air. The same thing happened with me. My host, he turned the monitor the same way that, Racquel was like, I'm not looking at my tweets or my mentions. He turned the monitor around. He like blocked the text to come in so that I wouldn't read them, so it wouldn't like throw off my game. And it did. I had like an emotional day that day, and I felt really bad about myself. And I was like, maybe I can't do this. And it was like my second day, like, come on, let's relax. I was like, maybe I can't do this anymore. Like, I went on this long walk. I cried. And then Racquel came on the third day. So I was like, oh my God. And that's why, like, I want to put it out there, because it was like, those were all the emotions that I was feeling inside. So of course, like, Racquel jumping in, like, she has no idea. And so I kept like telling myself, like, aside from me trying to like really fight for something that I want and have this opportunity, I was like trying not to be, judge Racquel, because she had no idea like all this stuff that was going on. She didn't know that I got that text. She didn't know that, I had just started. So again, but fair to say it brought us to where we are now, right?
I think it worked out pretty well, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how everything started working out. And I feel like how this podcast is unfolding too is you're going to hear a lot of these stories of what kind of eventually made this click and come together. With our next episode, you're definitely going to hear more about when we were like, okay, like, we could definitely do something together. Like, this is working somewhat, somehow. But yeah, I mean, people perceive people in the spotlight as being perfect and not being affected by any of these things. And it's so untrue. That's why so many people, so many artists, musicians, actors, singers, personalities delete social media because it's not okay. And I actually last weekend, after going through a crazy week and dealing with some social media hate for no reason, literally no reason, I turned off my phone all last weekend, and it was the greatest medicine. Really, it really was. Like, I had told Natasha, for me right now, like, mentally, I need to just kind of take a step back. And we're obviously heavily on social media. If you follow either of us, we're on it 24/7. I'm on it more than her too, which is not necessarily the best, but it's a part of our job. It's a part of our career. And I just love being connected with people. So it's okay to take a step back and say, okay, I need to take a quick break. And it's going to help you, and it's going to get your mind back in check. So it's kind of funny to bring it all around. And I mean, we're definitely in no way, shape, or form over proving ourselves in this industry whatsoever. It's going to continue to be like that, especially now that we have this podcast. I feel like a lot of people are probably like, oh, great, another 2 girls have a podcast, like, let's see. So, I mean, we're going to continue to overcome obstacles and kind of just pave our own path. And that's where I bring in our guest for the day. So, our very special guest, Sammy Ariaga, I've known him for about 5 years now. That's insane to me. He's a country musician. He's a singer, a songwriter, very, very talented. He's written huge songs. He has his own huge songs. His single, Obvious, is out right now, and it's actually almost at 100,000 streams on Apple Music, and it was released super, super recently. The music video, well, when this is posted, it will have come out 2 days ago, so go check it out. But Sammy, what's up? He's zooming in. Obviously, you know, COVID, so we gotta do what we gotta do. How are you?
Just quarantining down here in Miami, which I really can't complain. I wouldn't say this is much of a quarantine, but
yeah. No, I mean, you're lucky you grew up in Miami. So kind of, you know, growing up in Miami and not being from the South has kind of given you more obstacles, I feel like, just from knowing you than, let's say, someone from like Kentucky would. So kind of give us a little bit of your background.
Well, I mean, as you know, Miami is very multicultural. You know, it's a melting pot for a lot of different cultures. And so growing up, you know, musically, I was just influenced by a lot of different genres, not just Spanish music, because, you know, people think Miami, they think Latino stuff, they think salsa and all that stuff. But like, you know, growing up, I'd listen to hip hop, rap, EDM, a little bit of everything. But you know, my dad actually had a guitar just sitting in his office growing up. And he would always just play me little Cuban ballads on it, just to like fool around every once in a while. And, you know, one day, you know, it just sparked me. I'm just like, you know what, that's really cool. I would love to do that myself. And I just picked it up one day. I was really bored. I went on YouTube and put how to play this thing. And I taught myself. I just sat in front of the computer watching other people do it. I would pull up John Mayer videos, copy what his hands were doing, go on Keith Urban videos, copy what his hands were doing. And then it got to a point in which I started stumbling upon a lot of country music, because country is a very guitar-friendly genre. So, you know, I started learning more about the genre and I fell in love with it. My dad always told me, he's like, you're really good at singing. One day, he's like, you know what? If you want to do American Idol auditions, I'll pay for your flights. I'll pay for the hotels. Just do it. So we went to the Idol auditions, and, you know, he told me, he's like, if you want to be different and you want to stand out and you want to get a yes from the judges, you're going to have to prove to them that you have something different from everybody else. So he told me, he's like, you should just say you're a country singer from Miami, you're bilingual, and you're representing the Hispanic culture. And I don't think there's anybody at the moment representing that demographic.
Sammy, tell us your background again.
I'm Cuban American. My whole family is actually from Cuba. And then I went into the Idol auditions with that as my tool. I went and said, hi, I'm Sammy. I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm Cuban. My whole family's from Cuba, but I sing country music. And they really liked that idea. And luckily, we made it all the way to round 1 of Hollywood.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was pretty fun. It was the season of J-Lo, Randy Jackson, and Steven Tyler.
Right.
And I guess I sang a song that nobody knew. And so that kind of like unattracted them and said they couldn't play this on the air because they wanted something more popular. And I didn't make it through. And I just packed my things up one day and drove 14 hours straight to Nashville with like $300 to my name. And
oh my gosh.
YOLO.
YOLO, literally. So, okay, you moved to Nashville and you have to prove yourself as this Cuban kid from Miami that you want to play country music. I'm sure there was definitely some, this is not your genre, you shouldn't be doing this.
Right from the first week of moving there, I was already feeling that energy of like, you know, just like, why are you here? But when I moved there, you know, obviously being from Miami, I came with this big city energy.
Right.
And I call it BC. And then I'm like this really loud Hispanic American guy. Like, yo, listen to me. Here's my email. Here's my number. Give me your Gmail. Give me your this.
That's why we gravitated toward each other, though, because when we first met, I interviewed him. And when I found out he was from Miami, I was like, my people, because we just have a certain vibe if you're from down here. I think that you being from a big city has definitely worked to your advantage because you don't take no for an answer. And I think that's one thing that if anyone takes away anything from this episode is do not take no from an answer in any aspect because you got to push yourself. You have to be your own biggest advocate. If you're not your own biggest advocate, who's going to be the biggest advocate?
Right, of course.
But I also agree with go ahead and take the no for an answer and just cut those people out. It's funny because whenever I send a song as an artist, for submission, for all these like DSPs, like Spotify and Apple Music, every once in a while I'll hear like, oh, this is this country? Is this, what do you want to do with this? Is this pop? Is this hip hop? I always have to tell them like, guys, I recorded this in a studio in Nashville with the best Nashville musicians. And I wrote the song with 2 Nashville hit songwriters. How much more country do you want me to get? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And then you got me, just to kind of like put the sprinkle on top of like the originality, I guess.
I want to ask a question to both of you. So I grew up in San Diego, and it's predominantly Mexican. I'm Mexican myself. I'm Mexican and Persian, by the way.
Órale.
Órale. And so one thing is like growing up, not just me, but everyone around me was like, I hate country. I don't like country music. I hate country music. Like that was just the thing growing up, right? And it was very similar to Miami too, where it was like, okay, yeah, of course you have, instead of, salsa, we had like banda and stuff over there. You have rock, a lot of rock, hip hop, etc. But, what would you guys say to kind of vouch for the country genre or win all of us over,
Country is a genre, I will say, that might not be for everyone, but with the way that it's evolved nowadays, it's become way more universal. The whole term of like, I hate country thing has slowly disappeared. I feel like people would say that because they go, oh, I love every genre but country. I heard that a lot growing up in Miami as well. They probably didn't like the banjo and the ding, 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 ding. They probably didn't like that version of it.
Definitely. I mean, when I first started working in country music, I worked in country music for 4 years. I literally didn't listen to country music growing up, and I live an hour north from Miami. So if you go another hour north to West Palm Beach, it's all people listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really listen to country music. I wasn't obsessed with it. Like I listened to, the Sam Hunt, the Hunter Hayes, like
Of course.
the pop country artists. I mean, but that completely changed obviously when I was put on a plane to go cover country CMA Fest for a week and literally got off the plane and had to go straight to my first interview. And I was with Logan Mize, who's an amazing country singer-songwriter, and he is country. He is not like, he's not pop. So, but I obviously, listened to his stuff before interviewing him. And after that, I mean, I kind of was obsessed with it. There's so much of heart that goes into country music, and now it's completely evolved going off of what Sammy says. I mean, I remember after being in Nashville, basically going back and forth from Florida for 2 years is when everything started getting a little bit more poppy, and Chris Lane was doing some crossover, Kelsey Ballerini, who are now huge country artists now, and everyone was getting mad because they were like, this isn't country music. And I remember we had to always, in interviews, we were, they were asking us to really touch on the fact that this genre is going to evolve like any other genre. And now even working in the EDM field, a lot of people are doing crossovers now, and they're bringing live elements into their shows. Like Griffin has a whole guitar thing, so does Brooklyn. They sing and play live, and people are now like touchy on that. But we're in 2020 and things are going to evolve. The music industry is going to evolve. You're going to be seeing a lot more crossovers.
The whole beat of like that Latin beat was very prominent. It was very prominent in pop music, with Sorry, Justin Bieber, One Dance Drake, Major Lazer, Diplo. They were all doing it. So I'm like, why can't country music do this and just fuse the instrumentation of Nashville's elite musicians with the international beat of the Latin beat?
Right.
And and it's just when we rewind it back to when you said you get a little bit of a pushback. The whole being bilingual thing has definitely been a little different and shocking for the for the Nashville community. But at the same time, I look at it as a business move and a positive, because whenever I go into any room, you know, every once in a while I'll hear like, oh, there's the Cuban guy that sings country. But at least they could, but you know, I'm just happy that they could distinguish me.
Right. No, of course. No, and that's awesome too, because whoa, everything is flying off the balcony across from me right now.
It's like kind of a hurricane outside in Florida right now. Don't mind us.
Literally, all of a sudden, oh my God, all of a sudden, somebody's furniture just flew off their terrace. Now I'm afraid like my chair is going to fly off. Everyone's running to go get their stuff right now. Sorry, guys. Okay.
Welcome to my home where you put your sunscreen and then a hurricane happens.
Oh my gosh. No, what I wanted to say is but it's awesome though, because you never know. I mean, you could be, you know, one or the first of many like pioneers or person to pave the way for, you know, Latinos to jump into that genre. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is barking.
I was like, is that your dog?
Yeah, she's so loud. I'm sorry.
But it's okay. We pride ourselves on this podcast being very real. Like, we're in a global pandemic. We started a podcast. There's dogs barking. It's a hurricane. Welcome to Millennial Girls, guys.
We can meet your dog. What's your dog's name?
Her name's Chloe, and she doesn't want to meet you.
Okay.
She's very angry. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like anybody. She just barks at everyone.
Oh, God.
I mean, Natasha's cat doesn't really like anyone. I mean, she does, but she's scared.
Oh my God, you just reminded me.
Hug her.
You just reminded me. No, Pumpkin was meowing outside of my door, and I forgot to let her in, so she kept meowing. I was like, oh shoot, sorry, Pumpkin.
Sorry, Pumpkin, we love you. One of these days she'll cooperate. Okay, so actually, I was gonna just say cooperate for a TikTok. Sammy, please explain what you're doing with your new single, Obvious. You guys gotta listen to it. It's so good. I'm like your people are gonna be like, this girl's his number one fan. Guys, I mean, I am. I'll run the fan club. Anyway, the TikTok video. So you're starting a little TikTok trend, which we talked about the other day. You're kind of the first person in Nashville to be doing it. So someone's going to start it and be the pioneer, as Natasha just said. So explain what you are kind of doing, so in case anyone wants to make one.
I got on there and just started reaching out to all the people that would pop up on my For You page that I thought would be, you know, good dancers that can make a little dance for my new single. And I actually was able to find some. And I've been able to get a good 20, 30 people to do the dance now. And I've just been reposting everybody's dances. And it's really helped with putting out the song and promoting it in the most organic way possible.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to go check it out, follow him too on TikTok. And I also did one too. So it's on my personal TikTok. So you can check that out.
You
also
killed it. I love yours.
Thanks, you know, for dancing for 23 years. He texted me, he's like, so what do I got to do to get you to, I was like, just send me the video, I'll learn it in 5 seconds. Natasha's actually a dancer too, so we'll get Natasha to do one too, because
perfect.
I didn't realize that Racquel had already done it to your song, because if not, I was like, we'll get banjos, ukuleles, whatever, and we'll just pretend. We'll just like have it in our hand. I'll play with Pumpkin next to me.
I feel like if you do enough of them too, it could be like a workout. You know,
let me tell you, I've learned a few dances, and I've had to shower after because they're hard.
They are hard. Even like watching, we when we were still going to work before Corona, we were learning TikToks, and they were taking us like a good amount of time. We were sweating. We were like, what is going on? This is hard. And we both grew up dancing forever, and I was like, guys, I'm sweating. I need my inhaler. What's happening right now?
I need my inhaler. Oh my God. No, and I mean, even if I cook to it, you're still getting your song out there. So as many videos that are made with that song, you can have it trend too. That's the fun part about TikTok.
So do you think because my first concert was in sync, hers was as well. And I remember every detail. I was 7 years old about being at that concert and just remembering how electric I felt and the energy and just being so happy. Did you have that moment at your first concert, or was it later on when you picked up the guitar and you were like, wait a minute?
I feel like I did have that, but if I had to say like one show that really gave me that sense of like, okay, this is what I'm wanting to do. It was as funny as it sounds. It was a Keith Urban concert.
I mean,
I was front row because one of the fangirls, like the die-hard Keith Urban fans, she heard me at a bar in Nashville where I was working the day before the concert, and she's like, "Holy crap, you sound like Keith Urban," or like you remind me of Keith Urban. Like, I have an extra ticket. Would you want to come with me to the concert tomorrow? And I went, and it was legit front row. I was sitting under his chin.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
He was singing "Making Memories of Us" on just his acoustic guitar with a spotlight on a stool.
Oh,
And I was crying like a baby. I was like, that could be me.
Great.
Keith Urban definitely makes you feel something. If that's for sure.
I was gonna say,
I was
I love
legit
how
crying.
I love how both of you, the country ones, the country folk, you guys are like, I'm crying at the concert. I don't think I've ever cried at a concert, so I guess I need to go to a country concert.
I cry all the time. Not all the time, but like, you know, I feel like too, it's in Sammy's case, it's, you know, I could be that person.
Totally.
So, and with me, it's either I just relate so much on the lyric, or I just like, I don't know. I told you guys, I'm obsessed with singer-songwriters. So I listen to all the really deep, depressing music all the time, even though I'm like the happiest unicorn ever. But.
Well, the reason why I cried is because the song he was singing was a song that I sang when I was learning how to play the guitar. So when I saw the guy himself playing it in front of me the exact way that I was playing it in my little college dorm, I'm like, holy cow, like this guy went from sitting like me sitting in a college dorm to sitting on a stool in front of 40,000 people. It's
crazy.
like, it's not that hard. You just got to be very persistent and like be very relentless when it comes to pursuing your dreams, and just don't take no for an answer.
That's it. That's an awesome story though. That's an awesome story. Like coming full circle.
That's right.
Sammy, what is your moment that you've had that's been like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this and accomplishing my dreams?
I'm a huge believer for letting the music and the art speak for itself. You know what I mean? And it's been more than I ever dreamed of. You know, to have a few songs, you know, past the mill mark has been a huge blessing, especially somebody who's independent at the moment. There was a time in which I started working with Sony Music on the label side, but it was very short-lived because there wasn't very good communication, and it just didn't go down as smoothly as we planned. But to see that the fans and the listeners are still, you know, loving the music after being like let go by Sony, you know, they've been listening to the music more. And if you want to call that the moment that you felt like things are actually happening, like, oh my God, this is actually like working in my world, I feel like that's it.
I want to ask both of you, what was your first country concert if it wasn't Keith Urban? And then I want to know who was a really good concert or a festival, whatever, that you might have gone to that wasn't in the country genre?
Okay, so funny story. When I first moved to Nashville, the first show that I caught was this singer-songwriter named Dave Pahanish. I didn't know who he was, and I was just sitting in the audience watching the show, and then he started singing a song that Toby Keith had recorded. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. This guy wrote a Toby Keith song. And I think it's called American Ride. I love this American ride, that one. And then the next song, he starts singing, I love you since the very first day, when I caught you looking my way. And it was a Keith Urban song, Without You. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. This guy's writing all the songs for all the country artists that I love. And it was a very eye-opening moment for me because, you know, Nashville also gives that spotlight to the people who created the songs themselves. So yeah, if you want to call that my first country concert, that might be it.
But I can tell you that one of my favorite moments being in Nashville and in country music is when I was at the CMA Awards and I got to see Justin Timberlake perform with Chris Stapleton. and
Nice.
it was.
Were you there for that performance?
I was there.
Wow.
And that was when I met you, Sammy, that trip, I think. Yeah, it was that trip.
Yep.
Because I remember we left that interview with you. I was like, I have to go get ready for the CMA Awards. So it was the craziest experience because obviously it's an award show. So I saw Carrie Underwood, Florida Georgia Line, all those people perform. And we didn't know Justin Timberlake was going to come out with Chris Stapleton. And then he came out and it was the most memorable experience. I mean, still to this day, people talk about that performance. And I remember going on Twitter after the award show and it was trending. It was global. Everyone was talking about it for a week, a month, a year afterwards. And still, then they did the collaboration, the song together. So I think that definitely also could have been a moment that helped country music merge with the pop side because Chris Stapleton is definitely country. So, and Justin Timberlake, he's from Memphis, but he obviously is in pop singer. So I feel like once JT hopped on stage with Chris Stapleton, the world was like, oh, wow. Like,
this could
whole different world.
Like country music, all the walls in country music in that moment became non-existent.
Sammy, you are awesome. Thank you so much for being our first guest. That's so crazy.
You know what's great is I noticed that it was episode 2.
Yeah.
And my number when I played soccer was number 2. So
see, it's meant to be.
Meant to be.
There you go.
It's meant to be. Sammy, plug yourself, social media everywhere. The music video will have had come out 2 days ago. This is getting posted on Wednesday. It comes out Monday. So plug yourself. You have to check out his music. He's so incredibly talented. Plug away.
Thank you. Well, again, my name is Sammy Ariaga. You guys can go on my website, sammyariaga.com. Everything's on there. I got all my music, my bio, links to all my socials. I'm pretty active on Instagram. I reply to everyone. So if you guys want to reach out, say what's up, don't hesitate to DM me. And I'm also on TikTok. I'm trying to get to 1,000 so I could go live and sing some songs for y'all. So if you guys want to go on there and add me, I add everyone back on there. So give me the little follow button. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the new single, Obvious. The music video comes out on my birthday, May 4th. Both IGTV, YouTube, anywhere where you watch music videos. And I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yes, go follow him on everything. And of course, us, millennial_girls on Instagram. We are working on trying to get everything one cohesive username, but it's a little bit difficult. So if you just go onto our website, millennial-girls, you can follow everything on there. Our personals, Racquel Goldy, of course, Natasha.
At Natasha Salehi. Thank you for joining us, Sammy, and it was so nice meeting you. We met each other on Zoom.
There you go. That's like the new millennial way.
Seriously.
Literally, millennial.
After all.
Literally, exactly. It's going to be so much fun. And of course, guys, please add, follow, all that good stuff. Subscribe, save us we're on everything now, which is super exciting. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm trying to think literally everywhere. YouTube, you can watch the video. Just we're trying to explode and expand and just, make Millennial Girls a thing. So let us know what you like too. If you have any ideas for episodes or guests, hit us up. We're always on social media. We add people back too. So it was great. Thank you guys so much. We will catch you guys next time. And peace, love, unicorns, like we said last time.
Peace, love, and unicorns.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.